Good morning, everybody. Good to see a nice crowd here today. We have an abundance of proclamations and good news to share at the beginning of the meeting, so I'm glad to see a good crowd. I'm going to go ahead and call today's meeting to order of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners. It is February 10th, 2025, and it is 9:01 a.m. If I could have everybody stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time in the agenda, we take a brief moment of silence. This is for individual prayer, reflection, or meditation. We take this time to honor and remember our first responders and the men and women in our military who keep us safe and protect our freedoms at home and abroad. All right, thank you. Again, thank you everybody for being here today. I want to note that we have a full attendance from our county commissioners. Thank everybody for being here. We want to go through, there's no additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda today, other than we do have one for item 7C, which I'm going to announce that we pull later, so we'll go over that addition at that item. Some announcements. County offices are closed Monday, February 17th for President's Day. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection public hearing is scheduled for Thursday, February 20th, and this is regarding the erosion control line. Our race to the runways is scheduled for Saturday, February 22nd at the Flagler Executive Airport. The 10th annual powwow is Saturday, February 22nd, and Sunday, February 23rd at the Princess Place Preserve. There is a Plantation Bay community meeting hosted by the FGUA, the water utility. This is Wednesday, February 26th in these board chambers. This is not a county meeting, just giving a heads up for the Plantation Bay residents. We also request everybody visit flaglercounty.gov to view the transparency dashboard. At this page, you can see all of our citizens advisory boards and view open positions and learn how to apply for those positions. You can see our list of capital projects. All of them list their project status, the funding, and their schedule for completion, as well as our drainage maintenance projects. Upcoming commission meetings, workshops, and special meetings. We have a workshop today, February 10th at 1 o'clock p.m. in these chambers. And the next regular meeting is Monday, March 3rd at 9 o'clock a.m. All right, and with that, we are going to move on to our busy slate of recognitions and proclamations. And our first recognition is for our Flagler County employee recognitions for years of service. So our Human Resource Director, Charlie Picano, will come forward for this recognition. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear me? All right.
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Charlie Picano, and I'm the Director of Human Resources. Excuse me, I lost my voice a little bit. Today, I'm here to share a recap of our Employee Appreciation Luncheon celebrating years of service with Flagler County. This luncheon was a wonderful opportunity to recognize and honor the incredible dedication and commitment of our long-term members. Furthermore, this luncheon was a previous board initiative that we haven't had since 2006. So now I'm going to play a video that'll highlight the event and recognize our employees. So I'll play that now. Okay. So as you can see, the event went really well. It was a really good time, and it was a really good way to spend time with each other and recognize so many of our great employees and their many years of service. So typically, in the past, we brought people up here. So we invited people, anyone who showed up today, I'm going to call their name. If I call your name, can you please stand? And then after I've called everyone's name, I'll call you up to take a picture with the board. So Gil Aspinwall, well, celebrating 5 years. In attendance today, we have Gil Aspinwall, Kim Bennett, and Brooklyn Riley. So that's it for 5 years. If you guys want to come up. You guys can come up and take a picture with the board, sorry. We have a bigger group. I would do one group picture, but.
Going to do them by group or one big one?
I think we'll probably do each.
Okay.
Because I think it's
All right.
Well, that first group is kind of smaller, but the rest of them are a little bigger.
Come on in. Just don't get me sick.
Really? It's been a week.
Okay, everybody ready? Thank you.
All right, so celebrating 10 years, we have in attendance Mike Coons, Brad Cordero, Lucy Dance, Carlos Hernandez, Sean Moylan, Andrew Shook, Anita Stoker, and Todd Whaley. So.
We should just stand. We'll just stay here like this.
Yeah, it might be easier.
Arnie, if I can get you to slide a little bit that way. Just trying to make sure that we don't have you in.
Yeah,
Are you in?
I'm in between the two heads.
Yeah, dance is gonna
This
come
way?
this way, yeah. Make sure everybody's face is in the picture.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, and then celebrating 15 years, we have James Shaw and Roy Seeger. I feel like we need background music or something.
Roy, if I can have you a little bit.
Okay, and celebrating 20 years, we have Lisa Catalano, Rob Arrett, John Kepler, Cody King, Frank Mesta, and Jason Powell. Years.
All right, let's hear it. Congratulations, Jason. Thank you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Ready?
Congratulations.
Okay, with an incredible 30 years of service for Flagler County, we have Bob Pickering.
Send Bob up. Bob, we're going to bring you up here.
Yeah, you gotta put your hat on.
Let's put him in here.
Yeah, they bought him that for years. They got him.
Good job.
It should be pointed out, I was gifted this hat. Everyone knows I like trains. It's an engineer's hat. It says 30 years of service on the front, BP on the side, 30 years on the back, and I wear it proudly. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Where's you? 40.
Okay, and last but not least, we have Timmy Allen with an astonishing 40 years of service with Flagler County.
Didn't change at all.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. When'd you start? 5 years old?
Wow, not old enough.
Congratulations.
That's it for you. Yeah, one more 50. I'm showing. Thank you guys for your time, your support, and for allowing me to share this amazing event with you guys. I also wanted to thank Heidi for bringing this event back and allowing us to acknowledge our employees. It was really a great day and a great way to show our employees that we care about them and how valued they are with their years of service with the county. It's pretty incredible when you look at how many 20-year associates, how many 30, 40. And our plan here is to have a lot more people, who stay with us that long. So very excited to share it with you guys, and thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Well, I know at the luncheon, Heidi had a lot of very nice and kind words about the employees and the importance of the employees to the organization. The ship can't sail without them. So, right, Captain? And they do a fabulous job for the county, for the citizens of this county. They work their tails off, and we appreciate everything that they do for us. So, anybody else with some words?
Well, I've had the opportunity to command ships and have great staffs and everything, but this is the best I've ever seen. You put together, and that's Heidi and Jorge leading the charge, but so well done. It's a great staff. Great staff.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it. And again, thank you for the employees that did show up this morning. Thank you very much for allowing us the honor to take our pictures with you. So thank you.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Huh? Yeah. All right, we're going to transition to our proclamations. Is there anybody from the Family Life Center? Oh, okay, good. So I didn't see Candy, so I just wanted to make sure somebody was here. So let me just start off with this is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. It's this February 2025. So normally Candy's here to present for the Family Life Center. She's the domestic violence coordinator. But could you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Ren Prokopovich. I am the youth service advocate at Family Life Center. I provide services for the youth affected by violence ages 4 to 17.
Okay, great. And who's got that proclamation this morning? All right, Commissioner Richardson.
Flagler County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming February 2025 as Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month in Flagler County. Whereas Flagler County is committed to the well-being and protection of our youth, the safety of our communities, and to fostering a society based upon mutual respect on one another, with zero tolerance for any forms of victimization and abuse. And whereas teen dating violence is a serious crime that can involve physical, sexual, verbal, emotional, economic, or other abusive behavior. including harassment and cyberbullying via texting, email, instant messaging, and posting on social media. And whereas women who are 16 to 24 in age are more vulnerable to intimate partner violence, experiencing abuse at a rate at nearly triple the national average. And whereas 1 in 3 adolescents in the United States is a victim of physical, emotional, or verbal abuse from a dating partner, a figure that far exceeds rates of other types of youth violence. 1 in 10 high school students has been purposely hit, slapped, or physically harmed by a boyfriend or girlfriend. 1 in 10 teens reported sexual victimization from a dating partner, and 1 in 4 teens in a relationship report their boyfriend or girlfriend isolating them from all friends and family. And whereas young people who have been victimized by an abusive dating partner can experience serious negative effects to their physical and emotional health and are more likely to be depressed, develop low self-esteem, perform poorly in school, engage in risky behaviors such as drug and alcohol use, and contemplate or attempt suicide. And whereas dating violence affects teens across all races, genders, religions, nationalities, sexual orientations, and socioeconomic statuses, it disproportionately affects lesbian, gay, and bisexual youth who experience rates of intimate partner violence that are almost twice as high as the rates for heterosexual youth. Transgender youth report even higher rates of victimization and dating violence and than their heterosexual peers. And where parents and guardians of victims of dating abuse are often unaware of the problem, studies show that only 33% of the teens in an abusive relationship ever told anyone about the behavior, and 81% of parents responded either that teen dating abuse is not an issue or that they did not know whether it is an issue. And whereas Flagler County Advocates Alliance is working to increase public understanding of this problem and mobilize community efforts to end teen dating violence. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they hereby declare February 2025 as National Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month in Flagler County and applaud the efforts of the many victim service providers, police officers, prosecutors, national and community organizations, and private sector supporters for all their efforts promoting awareness about teen dating violence. Adopted this day, the 10th day of February, 2025, attested by Tom Bexley, Clerk of Court, and Flagler County Board of Commissioners Chair Andrew S. Dance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would you like to move approval for that?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Richardson, seconded by Commissioner Carney. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you again for being here. Did you have any words for us?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
All right. First off, again, my name is Ren Prokopovich. Good morning. I would like to thank the Board of Commissioners for recognizing teen dating violence and continuing the county's commitment to combat the intimate partner violence that affects the young people in our community. This year, the theme for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month is respect, not as a concept, but as a mindset. So let us lead with our actions and choices, teaching ourselves and each other what respect looks like through our actions and words, for our partners, for ourselves, and for the community at large. To the community, I would like to say that we can fight this issue together. Arm yourselves with knowledge, educate yourselves on the signs and dynamics of power and control, reach out and intervene if you can, have the hard conversations with the youth in your life. Violence thrives in silence and in action. It is only with our collected voice and action that we can end the abuse of our young people. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Any words? All right, thank you. Do love the word respect. I think if, regardless of our differences, if we all just showed each other a lot of respect for each other, we'd go a long way. So thank you very much. We're going to do a picture. Did you want to come up? Here.
Everybody ready? Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We have two proclamations from our Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley. The first is going to be on School Crossing Guard Appreciation Day, February 10th, 2025. Do we have any there we go. Some representatives from the Sheriff's Office. Just come up and state your name for us.
I'm Jennifer Naraki. I'm the Commander over Youth Services.
Thank you.
Good morning, Board. I'm John Welker, the Chief over at the Investigative Services Division.
Well, great. Thank you for both of you for being here today. Who's got that one? Commissioner Pennington.
Yes, this is a proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming February 10th, 2025 as School Crossing Guard Appreciation Day in Flagler County. Whereas Flagler County is home to more than 10,000 school-aged children whose safety and well-being is fundamental, and whereas each school day, regardless of weather, our local school crossing guards ensure the safety of our children and families as they arrive to and depart from school. And whereas Flagler County prioritizes public safety and the significant role of education and awareness that ensures the protection of our children and the crossing guards who assist them. And whereas commendable service, responsibility, and professionalism is demonstrated by our school crossing guards on a daily basis, and whereas Flagler County school crossing guards provide essential public safety and services to our community, and they deserve acknowledgement and praise for their diligent efforts to protect our children and families. And whereas the first Friday in February is an opportunity for Flagler County to recognize and celebrate the essential service and steadfast dedication these admirable individuals provide to protect our school children. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that we hereby declare February 10th, 2025 School Crossing Guard Appreciation Day in the County of Flagler, and we urge all citizens to help make Flagler County a wonderful place to live. This has been attested by Tom Bexley, our clerk, and our chair, Andrew Dance. I'd like to make a motion to approve the proclamation allowing it to be School Crossing Guard Appreciation Day in Flagler.
Second.
All right, great. I have a motion by Commissioner Pennington, seconded by Commissioner Hanson. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you for being here. Did you have any words for us on this, or?
We just want to thank the board for the recognition of the service and dedication of our school crossing guards.
Absolutely. We do appreciate the work that they do, keeping our students safe, and just want to, a little appreciation that we can do for their hard work. Rain or shine, they're out there no matter what, making sure that our children get to school safely. So thank you. And we'll do a picture.
Be the next one too here.
Okay, good.
Don't leave us.
We'll come on up front. We'll do. It's easy when we have one.
There you go. You're doing very good. We can all be seen now. Thank you. That makes her short and sweet. That's good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, and we'll move right into School Resource Officer Appreciation Day, February 15th, 2025. Who's reading? Oh, Commissioner Carney.
A proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming February 15, 2025 as School Resource Officer Appreciation Day in Flagler County. Whereas the National Association of School Resource Officers is dedicated to making schools and children safer by providing the highest quality training to school-based law enforcement officers. And whereas school resource officers bridge gaps between youth and the law enforcement and embrace a triad concept of school policing, serving as informal counseling, education, and law enforcement roles to support students and communities they serve. And whereas by training law enforcement officers to counsel, educate, and protect school communities, these men and women continuously lead by example and promote a positive image of law enforcement to school children and school communities. And whereas SRO programs across the globe are founded as collaborative efforts by police agencies, law enforcement officers, educators, students, parents, and communities to create safe learning environments, provide valuable resources to school staff members, foster positive relationships with students, and develop strategies to resolve problems that affect youth with the goal of protecting all children so they can reach their fullest potential. And whereas school resource officers are valuable and essential members of the education community and deserve unwavering respect and support from the public and in the pursuit of keeping schools and students safe. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they hereby declare February 15, 2025 as School Resource Officer Appreciation Day in the County of Flagler, and urge all citizens to show appreciation and support for our school-based law enforcement officers. Adopted this 10th day, February 2025, attested Tom Bexley, Clerk of Circuit Court and Comptroller, and Flagler County Board of County Commissioners Chairman Andrew S. Dance. Very good. I'd like to make a motion that we accept this proclamation.
Second the motion.
All right, a motion by Commissioner Carney, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you again. Any words?
Again, we just want to thank the board for recognizing our school resource deputies and the invaluable service they provide to our children and their safety in the community.
Absolutely. Can't imagine, right, without having our sworn deputies within the schools to provide that safety. It's I know it's comforting not just to the students but to the staff as well that they're on site and working hard to protect everybody. Thank you very much.
Want to do it again?
One more.
Switching up on you, so you'll never know what picture you're in.
Ready?
One more. All right. Thank you again.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you all for coming.
Thanks for all you're doing. Appreciate you. Bless you. God bless you, sir. Thank you.
Up next is a proclamation for the A1A All-American Road Day, which is February 16, 2025, requested by Danielle Anderson, the Byway Administrator. And as they come up, Commissioner Hanson will be reading this proclamation today.
I should point out that this is one of five, six proclamations that they're getting on this from every city in the
Very
county.
good.
All right. Proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners proclaiming February 16th A1A All-American Road Day in Flagler County. Whereas Flagler County is committed to the protection of scenic beauty, preservation of history and culture, enhancement of motor vehicle, bicycle, and pedestrian safety, and the promotion of nature through outdoor recreation. And whereas the Friends of A1A Scenic and Historic Coastal Byway Incorporated work tirelessly to support these efforts along the 72 miles of A1A Scenic and Historic Coastal Byway All-American Road, including 20 miles of Flagler County's coastal corridor. And whereas the A1A Scenic and Historic Coastal Byway was created by the U.S. Department of Transportation's Federal Highway Administration through partnership of three established Florida scenic highways under the Florida Department of Transportation's Florida Scenic Highway Program, linking A1A Ocean Shore and Flagler Beach, the A1A River to Sea Trail in the Hammock, and scenic and historic A1A in St. Johns County. And whereas the A1A Scenic and Historic Coastal Byway served since 2002 as a designated National Scenic Byway by the U.S. Department of Transportation for 19 years before becoming an All-American road. And whereas the A1A Scenic and Historic Coastal Byway was designated by the U.S. Department of Transportation's Federal Highway Administration as an All-American road on February 16, 2021, the highest designation within the National Scenic Byway Program. And whereas the All-American Road designation is one of 2 in the entire state of Florida to have earned this distinction, and one of 58 in the entire United States of America with this designation. And whereas the Friends of A1A Scenic and Historic Coastal Byway Incorporated will recognize the 100th anniversary of State Road A1A in 2027 as part of the A1A Centennial Commission. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they hereby declare February 16, 2025 as the A1A All-American Road Day in Flagler County, and applaud the efforts of the volunteers who serve as stewards of this iconic roadway and the A1A Scenic Byway communities. Their dedication to the protection, preservation, promotion, and enhancement of the A1A Scenic and Coastal Byway is nothing short of legendary, and they have forever be remembered for their service and dedication. Adopted this 10th day of February 2025, attested to by Tom Bexley, Clerk of the Circuit Court and Comptroller, and signed and approved by Flagler County Board of Commissioners Chair Andy Dance. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve February 16th as A1A All-American Road Day.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Carney. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Do you want to say anything, introduce your people?
So first, I just wondered, has anybody ever not gotten their proclamation approved? No. I'm standing here, it's kind of nerve-wracking. Seriously, thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. I know it's a lot of words that are on the proclamation, but it's because of the steps it took to get to this level. It's important that those things are kind of preserved in history, because we won't always be here forever to say we remember. And so now you guys are remembering this as part of history into the record, and we appreciate you doing that. I do want to introduce Dennis Clark. He's kind of our champion here in Flagler County, and all of these folks work really, really hard, and we appreciate you working with them to make sure that A1A stays iconic. And Commissioner Hanson, we really appreciate your dedication to the A1A Scenic Byway as well.
Hi, I'm Dennis Clark, Chair of the Scenic A1A Pride Committees, which is part of the Friends of A1A. We meet monthly, and Commissioner Hanson meets with both groups and gives his support to all our initiatives. It's really about the volunteers. The volunteers put in a lot of work 25 years ago to bring this to this stage. And so they all work tirelessly to protect, preserve, and enhance our National Scenic Byway and now our All-American Road. So we're really proud to have an All-American Road and to celebrate it like this. So thank you for your support.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
And then you want to say something.
I just want to say a special thanks to Danielle and to everybody that's worked on this. She puts in lots and lots and lots and lots of hours and works really, really hard at it. And we appreciate it. And of course, Dennis as well.
You'll have to state your name for the record, just so it's in.
Lynn Bravo Rosewater.
Thank you so much. Well, again, thank you for being here for this recognition. 100 years coming up. So talk a little bit about that. What have you got going on and planned?
So we're working with Senator Leake's office to get an A1A Centennial Commission created. And what we're hoping is to have a project that tells the story of A1A, not just our portion, but the entire roadway of the state. And then it could become a traveling road show to go around and either end up in Tallahassee or have a permanent home in our new ecotourism center.
That would be awesome. All right, great news. Again, thank you all for being here. Come up for a picture.
Oh, the paper.
Proclamation.
Who's got the paper? Where's the
Yeah,
gold?
that.
Where's the gold?
There's a fee
She
associated
wants
with
the,
it.
hey, she wants certification.
She's gonna paper her
You've been
wall.
certified.
She's got 6 of them.
Take 2 more, because there's a lot of you. Thank you. Somebody's blinking. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Good to see you. Bye, honey. I'll see you when I see you. Good job.
All right, and the next proclamation is for Flagler Reads Together, March 1st through 31st, 2025, and this is requested by the Friends of the Library.
That's me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I am Mike Cochiola. I'm president of the Friends of the Library.
Good morning.
In Flagler County. We are a nonprofit volunteer group chartered to raise money for and advocate for the public library system. We put on all the programs that you enjoy and our community enjoys at the library. Everything from children's programs, young adult, and post-adult like I am. So thank you for all your support, and I would remind everybody here in the room that you can join the Friends of the Library for $10 a year and become a volunteer. We are 300 strong and growing. Thank you. Oh, okay.
I'll go ahead with the proclamation. Okay. This is a proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners designating March 1st through March 31st, 2025 as Flagler Reads Together in Flagler County. Whereas reading is the gateway skill for all learning, and whereas reading literature inspires us to think about ourselves, our environment, and our relationships, and whereas talking about literature with friends, families, and neighbors adds richness and depth to the experience of reading and enables the sharing of thoughts. And whereas Flagler Reads Together 2025 will read the novel Whale Fall by Elizabeth O'Connor. Whale Fall is a coming-of-age novel that follows the life of a teenage girl on a secluded Welsh island in 1932. A whale washes up on the shore, and at the same time, 2 outside researchers arrive to chronicle the economically failing island's culture. As time passes and the girl grows closer and closer to the researchers and to leaving the island, the whale deteriorates. The novel is a retrospective account of how a culture is influenced by exterior forces and can ultimately be lost to history. Library staff and the Friends of Library encourage citizens of Flagler County to join the 24th annual Flagler Reads Together by reading and discussing this book. And whereas Flagler Reads Together encourages a culture of reading and discussion in Flagler County by bringing our diverse county together around one book. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners, we believe in the power of written word and do hereby proclaim March 1st through March 31st, 2025 as Flagler Reads Together in Flagler County. This has been adopted the 10th of February, 2024 and attested by Tom Bexley, the clerk, and our chair, Andy Dance. And I'd like to make a proclamation to approve this motion to approve this proclamation designating March 1st through 31st as Flagler Reads Together.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Pennington, seconded by Commissioner Richardson. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you again. Ms. Albanese?
Good morning, Commissioners. Holly Albanese, Library Director. I just wanted to say a few words and thank you all for the support for this program. You know, we do this every single year, and we're grateful for the support of the Friends. We couldn't do what we do every year as far as programming is concerned and volunteer effort if it were not for the Friends of the Library. The book, I do have a copy for everybody, and the idea of giving each of you a copy is in the hope that, 1, you'll read it, and 2, then share it with other people in the community. The staff did select the book. It's not something I would have selected because I tend to select things that have librarians in them. But they selected it and they felt that it had similarities to us as a coastal community, going through some growing pains. And so that's why they selected it. On top of that, I guess the benefit was that they planned some programming with Marineland. So they were excited to be able to do a program with them. So that's why. I'm going to pass out a book to each of you.
Very good, thank you. Thank you, Mike, for being here. You're going to introduce your partner?
I am. This is both my partner in life as well as our director of membership on the board of directors for the Friends of the Library. And did I mention that everybody can join?
Yes. Slide over this way. Over this way, right to the mic so we can hear, everybody can hear you.
I have applications for anybody that would like to join.
Very good.
Little market.
All right, well, thank you so much for the book and for, I love the concept of reading and sharing, so we'll get that done for you. Thank you. You want to come up for a picture?
There you go. Thank you, Pam.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Good
Thanks.
job.
Thanks. I think outside.
All right, is everybody ready? Thank you.
Move that book. It's going to be a smear book.
Thank you.
Okay. She bluffed.
All right, our next and final proclamation today is on Black History Month, which is February 2025. This is requested by Alicia Wilbekin, the Executive Director for the Foundation of the Museum of Black History. Howard Holly is here as well. And I invited Carl Jones from the African American Mentoring Program for the school district, who I've spent a ton of time working with over the years and respect the work that they do, so invited him to come up today as well.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alicia Wilbekin. I am the Executive Director for the Foundation for the Black History Museum that's slated to take place in St. John's, St. Augustine. So good morning, everyone.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and read this proclamation this morning. This is a proclamation of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners designating February 2025 as Black History Month in Flagler County, Florida. Whereas during Black History Month, we celebrate the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to economic, cultural, spiritual, social equality, and political development. And whereas in 1915, American historian Carter G. Woodson formed what is now named the Association for the Study of Afro-American Life and History to encourage the study of the accomplishments made by Black Americans. And whereas Carter G. Woodson established the original celebration of Black History Week observed on February 12, 1926. And whereas in the 1940s, efforts began within the Black community to expand the study of Black history in the schools. And whereas in 1976, President Ford declared February Black History Month in a commemorative speech. He urged citizens to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. And whereas Black History Month is an opportunity to raise public awareness of African Americans who have made significant contributions, such as Otis Boykin, inventor of the control unit for the artificial heart pacemaker, Frederick McKinley Jones, inventor of mobile refrigeration units used for long-haul transportation of perishable goods, and Sarah E. Goods, the first Black female to receive a United States patent inspiring creativity and innovation for future generations of African Americans. And whereas the observance of Black History Month calls our attention to the continued need to battle racism and build a society that lives up to its democratic ideas and applauds the outstanding, historic, dedicated, enriching, and determined hard work of the Flagler County School District's African American Mentor Program, the Flagler County African American Cultural Society, Incorporated, and the National Association for the Advancement of People of Color, NAACP. And whereas Flagler County continues to work toward educational initiatives and advancing this just cause and becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens, past, present, and future, are respected and recognized for their contributions and potential contributions to our community, the state, the country, and the world. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners that they hereby declare February 2025 as Black History Month in Flagler County, and encourage everyone to observe this month with relevant programs, ceremonies, and activities. Adopted this 10th day of February 2025, attested by Tom Bexley, Clerk of the Court, and Flagler County Board of County Commissioners Chairman. Thank you very much. If someone would motion for me.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve February 2025 as Black History Month.
A second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Pennington. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Again, welcome, everybody. Did you have any, I know we're moving into the next item too. Did you?
Yeah. Well, before we do that, just a quick comment. As you mentioned a number of organizations, we'd be remiss if we stood here and not indicate that we're representing all of those organizations and all the people who keep culture and art of Black folk in the forefront, because we know what it happens when it falls back. So it's so important. So thank you to the commissioners for the proclamation on behalf of all of the organizations in Flagler County.
Very good. Thank you. Carl?
Just quick, Chair, Commissioners, thank you for allowing us to be here. The program has been in existence since 2002. We are active in all schools, and we want to continue to do that, but we need everybody's support because the things that we do for the kids are for the future, not only of Flagler County, but this community as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here today.
And just one last thing, we do have a newsletter here that I will be passing out to each of you. It'll be a part of our presentation that we're going to make next, so more to come. Thank you.
Well, let's come on up for a picture. You get to hold that one?
Nice to see you. Hey, kiddo. Kiddo. You're a kiddo, honey. Oh, mate, feels good, doesn't it?
Everybody ready? Thank you.
No, I adore you, Harry.
Good to see you. Tell Mr. Winston that I know he's tied up, but. So with that, we're moving into the presentation, and this is on the Foundation for the Museum of Black History. Thank you.
Well, let me get started. My name is Howard Holly. I am the publisher of Evolve News, Evolve Magazine, and Parent Magazine, which we provide here in Flagler County, but also in St. Johns and Volusia County. And I'm the co-founding board member of the Foundation for the Museum of Black History. So we're very pleased to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. So in May of 2023, Governor DeSantis signed the legislation that established the Florida Museum of Black History Task Force. I was appointed by the Speaker, Paul Renner, to serve on that task force. The Speaker had 3 choices, the President of the Senate had 3, and the Governor had 3. So there were 9 of us who served on the task force. I would note that it was a unanimous vote from the Senate and a unanimous vote in the House for this legislation. And that seldom happens in the state of Florida. So it really speaks to the view of a shared need for this. Our purpose was to recommend where the museum should be, what the criteria should be, what the elements should be, to look at some of the architectural design. We engaged the FAMU School of Design and Architecture to do that. We completed our work in June, so we essentially had 10 public meetings. We established criteria. The criteria was communicated throughout the state. 13 locations chose to submit an application to be the site for that museum. We evaluated all of them against the criteria, narrowed it down to 8, and then we narrowed the 8 down to 3. 3 ended up being Opelika in Miami-Dade, Eatonville in Orange County, and St. Augustine in St. Johns County. The vote was 5-1. We had a couple of people who couldn't make the whole meeting, but their vote was known. The vote was 5-1 out of the 9 for St. Johns County, St. Augustine, with over 450 years of Black history up there. So these are the site selection criteria that we used, very extensive. All of this is, again, available in the public domain for the Florida Museum of Black History Task Force. And again, the one thing I would note is that the location is in West Augustine, which is a predominantly Black community to the west on King Street and Holmes. It is the site of the Florida Memorial University, which used to be the Florida Normal and Industrial Institute, and later the Florida Memorial College. That college was there from 1928 to 1968. It left the site in 1968 when the civil rights marches were going on, and the sheriff indicated to the leadership that they could no longer provide security. So they left there and moved to Miami, and they're now located in Miami Gardens. Interestingly, those 300 acres are still there. The campus is no longer there, overgrown, of course, since 1968. But there is land and a plot there that has been negotiated with St. Johns County so that the campus would be on 14.5 acres on the site of that HBCU. That is historic by itself. So I'm going to turn it over to Alicia to give you an update on where we are.
Thank you, Howard. You have the newsletter in front of you, and it lists out all the supporters that we've received, thus far. But in addition to that, that criteria that Howard just presented, we worked with St. Johns County to present that information to as well. So that was an 8-pager document highlighting all the things in St. Johns, St. Augustine, St. Johns County. The Black Museum also submitted, and we received approval as priority for St. Johns County, St. Johns Chamber and Commerce, and also the Northeast Florida Regional Council. The foundation, which I'm heading up as the executive director, we formed in November. And our primary focuses will be fundraising, community engagement, and of course, communications. And that's why you see that newsletter in front of you, because we are pushing out information about the museum because we want everyone to be excited. Black history is everybody's history. And then on February 3rd, which is also exciting news, Senator Leek filed a bill, SB 466, designating St. Johns County as the museum location and creating a new task force. As Howard mentioned, the museum is slated to be on the campus of FMU. We're very excited about that. That's history in the making. That adds to the 450 years of history that we have in St. Johns County. Howard. Next steps. An appropriation request will be submitted by the Planning, Design, and Engineering, and that bill is slated to go through the Representatives, House of Representatives, by Representative Kean Michael, along with $2 million earmarked funds for PD&E. One thing I would like to mention is that Representative Michael also served on the task force with Howard too as well. And she was very instrumental in us getting selected as the place for the Black Museum. The foundation will accelerate, as I mentioned, communications, fundraising, and community engagement efforts, as well as we will support the architect's rendering. Howard mentioned that there was work done by Florida A&M University, and we are taking that information and we are expounding upon it and creating a new rendering for the Black Museum, as well as we're planning to do an economic impact study for the Black Arts, Culture, and History campus. We are here today to ask for your support, for a letter of support, and we hope that you will support us as we continue on this journey to make the Black History Museum in St. Augustine, St. John's a reality. Thank you.
So we will be asking all of the states in this region, even though this is a state museum, this region is the one that will be most materially impacted. So from Nassau County to Volusia County, we'll be going to every county and asking for them to provide support in writing, notified to your legislators. And if we do that throughout, then they know that we all are working together and believe holistically that the rising tide lifts all ships. And so there's such benefit. Educational component. The campus is conceived to include, and this is important, I think, when we say museum, people think it's just a museum, a single building. 14 and a half acres. This is a campus. So there will be a museum. There will also be a performing arts center. There will also be an art gallery, and there'll be an education building for educational efforts as well as an outdoor garden, artifacts, and so forth. So that's the vision. Now it's all working together, all of us, to bring that vision to reality. So we're open for any questions, but thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Great. Now, I know you've given Ms. Petito some language for the letter, so I know we're drafting up the letter. Just want to make sure there's consensus to move forward with that. Okay, great, awesome.
Good.
Commissioner Hanson, you look like you were
The existing land that you have there, are there still buildings on it?
Nothing left.
Oh, it's just,
It's all been consumed.
oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
But the lot that we're using wasn't where the actual campus was.
Uh-huh.
It's really another parcel that's a little bit further up, 214.
Yeah, so it's clear now, so there's not,
Yes,
not
correct.
any expense to.
Correct.
That's
And
good,
the
yeah.
county administrator and her team have already had a site work done on it. So we're pretty good and comfortable about the lot that we're getting from FMU.
Good, very good, thank you.
Right. Anybody else?
I just want to say I'm glad to see arts covered in this. I'm actually speaking this week on the radio because I love and collect the Highwaymen. So I
Yes.
certainly hope that the Highwaymen will be part of that because it's a great story
Yeah.
for Florida.
You know, it's an excellent point. That was why I made that ad. I think we've gotten too focused to just think museum. And we think of it as something that's not intimate or interactive. By the way, we're building a museum for generations. And so it has to include arts and culture, and it has to be the overall campus. And it also has to have technology that, you know, I don't even believe that brick and mortar is the right way to do this. So we'll have brick and mortar there, but it's how we network and communicate throughout the state that will make the difference. The Carter G. Woodson that you mentioned, there's a museum being built now in St. Petersburg. It's in design and everything right now. And it's the Carter G. Woodson Museum. And so that needs to be a part of this story as well.
I just want to say thank you. I know you've been working on this. I saw some video with you with all these people on a Facebook, on a, time.
Sure.
I'm like, it was people all over the country, if I'm not mistaken, Howard.
Yes.
And I think I'm excited as being a fancier of arts and culture and history and being a Floridian to see such a wonderful group of people with really talented pasts and futures. And I'm looking forward to seeing that right close to home, which makes it very convenient for our residents also to be able to enjoy the spoils of all the good stuff that you're bringing to the table. Thank you for that. It means a lot.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Richardson. But one of the things I want to say to your point, when I came onto the task force and Paul asked me to do that, I didn't really appreciate at the time how important the wording was. I'm a marketing guy, you guys know that. And it ended up being the Florida Museum of Black History. And the reason I appreciate that so much is because that history also includes the Caribbean from our perspective, right? We're much different in our view. So we see this as not just about Florida, but also about the Caribbean and how all of this comes together in this area. So, and that truly is part of the Black History. So I appreciate your comment.
Okay. Well, thank you both for being here today. Appreciate the proclamation, being able to do that, and also learn a little bit more about the Museum of Black History. So,
thank you for your time and your comments. We very much appreciate it.
yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Good to see you today.
Thank you so
for
much.
being
Nice
here.
meeting you all.
So if on the dais, move along, or does anybody need a break? Are all good? Okay, just checking in. All right, we will move to item 5 on the agenda, which is community outreach. This is a 30-minute time period allocated for public comment on any consent agenda item or topic that's not on the agenda. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to address the commission. Please approach the podium and identify yourself. I'm going to open it up for public comment. All right, seeing none, we'll come back to the board. And so at this time, if there's any highlights, anybody have any highlights or comments on?
I have questions on 7E.
Okay.
For Mr. Dixon or maybe Heidi, maybe legal, I'm not sure. It's the FDOT enhanced maintenance of the right-of-way for 95. Maybe just a quick overview, and then I have 2 questions. So I guess I'll go ahead as he's coming up. I guess my question is this is new, right? Is this new, or is this as a refreshment of the? So I guess my only question is, I saw, and I'm sorry, I'm going off memory. They'll pay us quarterly about $2,800 a month for the maintenance of, I think it was the south side right away.
Correct.
Okay, and that include fertilizer, weeding, mowing, litter control. Do we have, and I don't mean it like this, do we have to enter into the agreement? Is this a typical, I know we have to do according to the MOT inspection, MOT planning. So they pay us $2,800 quarterly. Does it cost us more than that to do those items? Or do we
I
know?
don't believe it does. I mean, it's just man hours that we use out there and materials.
Okay, so we're not sure. It may or may not. It's just man hours and material. But I saw the thing in there that the FDOT said was they routinely inspect. Have they inspected us before?
They have.
Okay, so, and then they said if it's not done to theirs, they'll do it and then either not pay us. But do we ever negatively, owe them more? Do they ever bill us? Have we ever been in that situation?
No.
Okay, because I think my concern was, what does it cost us? Do we have to do it versus the FDOT doing it? Is this just atypical? And then 2 is, if we don't do it, are we going to be billed above and beyond what they typically pay us? Are
More
we
than
going to be
likely,
out?
because they have a contractor that does 95, and they
Yeah.
would take that over then. So we would probably pay more.
Yeah, see, that's my thought is, so what is the benefit of doing it? Just so it looks nicer for us in
Correct.
general?
Yes.
If we didn't do it, the FDOT would
Eventually do it.
eventually do it.
So if you look at the Volusia side, it's not maintained as well, and it doesn't look as
It looks
good.
terrible
Right.
on the Volusia side. Yeah. Yeah. So, and we can't maintain that because it's the Volusia side. And
Correct.
Volusia's obviously determined that they're not going to enter in with FDOT.
Well, they tried
to do it.
to push that on us, but we can't do that, so.
Right. Okay. So, yeah. So that's just my question was, what's the cost analysis of doing that contract? I see, I can visually see it looks nicer when you exit off on the south than north.
Well, I can
but,
get some numbers put together and come back to you.
Yeah, it doesn't. I was just more concerned that it's A, costing us more than they pay us, and B, they could literally come back and hit us.
Right.
for a bill that's above and beyond.
Well, they'll
What we-
inspect, and if they find any issues, we
Yeah.
respond to the issue.
Yeah, that was just my worry about that one.
Okay.
Since it's not a mandated thing, you know. But I get the overall is to make it look nicer, and it's it's in, I think maybe it is in Kim's district, I don't know, but I just worry about them coming along and suddenly deciding to charge us because they don't like the way we litter control.
Okay.
You know, that was it. That was my only question was, did we have to do it? And do we ever get hit with a higher bill, or could we?
We could, but as long as
But we're
we're
maintaining it now
right,
on a quarterly and
and have been for years.
yeah, okay. That was it. Sorry,
right.
apologies.
That's it. Thank you.
Chair, if I could, there's actually two things that take place down in that general vicinity. Many years ago, the county went to FDOT and asked for them to do some landscape improvements in that area. That area, because the FDOT went ahead and funded it, we have an obligation to maintain. This agreement is for the work outside of that area. So we're already down there maintaining what we are obligated to do. This is just a way to get compensated for taking on a little bit more, but I think it makes sense when we're looking at compatibility and making sure that it looks the same or consistent. Since we're already down there anyways, it makes sense, I think, to do this work. We've
I
done
just
it.
didn't like the verbiage that if we don't do it to Mott, let's say like we're constrained in costs for the year and we don't do it on a quarterly, we don't do it to plan of their Mott. I worry that in the wording basically says we can come back, do it on your behalf, and then bill you later.
Right,
You know,
understood.
that gets a little like, what does that look like, for us trying to do the right thing for a south side exit of 95.
Since I've been here, I don't know that we've ever had an issue where we haven't been able to maintain it to their level of standard. I think the work that we do is actually better than their contractor that they have, so.
Yeah, I just don't disagree. But it's one of those things where somebody change of hands and they don't like it and then we're hit. That's it. I just didn't like, I get the reasoning behind doing it, and and we don't know if it costs us more than what they pay us, but I do get the reasoning of it. I'm just a little concerned about someone coming back later and doing it on our behalf and then billing us. More
Understood.
than anything. That's, yeah.
I think it's like the worst case scenario if we just don't do anything, that language is in there
Yeah.
to make sure it gets done.
It's a little scary.
All right. Any other comments or highlights on consent?
Just mention 7F. I did question that budget change, and it was brought to my attention that the additional medical examiner expenditures were basically out of our control, that I got a report stating that it was due to a salary or a new employee with a compensation benefit package of over $300,000. I questioned it, and it evidently is going to come back up during budget, and I just was a little surprised that they can make us pay it after the fact. But we probably want to watch that, or, in my opinion, the contract is older than dirt. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that might be time to look at alternatives, or, I don't know, having a better grip. That just seems like a big increase that another government can pose on us without any feedback whatsoever from us. So I'm sure we're gonna go ahead and approve it today, but moving forward, we'd like to see those numbers tightened up a little.
I do have a
Good.
question on that. Why is the contract 2011 that's in the backup? Have we not, the contract for medical examiner presented in there is 2011, and it has statistics for Flagler County Indigenous Services and all that from 2008 to 11. So I don't know how the old numbers are, because I was curious, like, well, for how many people are the medical examiner handling at this cost? And so I was looking through it, and it's got statistics from that. So, Mr. Hadid, is that just a contract that doesn't get updated or just lives in perpetuity as?
Actually, the responsibility for the operation of the medical examiner's office is governed by state statute. And we are in a district that includes the 3 counties. And so this is just an operating agreement that allows an annual budget to be set and then for the governments to contribute their share. The disadvantage in the arrangement is that St. Johns County is the principal entity in charge. They provide the building, they provide all the support services to the medical examiner. So we're not as involved in the planning of it.
Yeah.
And the administration of it.
So I think it was explained, they decided to add an assistant medical examiner, and it made an adjustment into our budget that we didn't plan for because they added a new role, right?
I think when we looked at the numbers, I think consistently it's growing by the same portion in the 3 counties. And because that volume has increased, they need additional staff. I think the disconnect, and it probably wouldn't have been as noticeable if it aligned with our budget. Their budget is a little bit off from our cycle, so we're trying to work with their staff to make sure that when we get those contract updates, it's brought to us when we're preparing our budget so that it doesn't come mid-year. We do have money, obviously, in reserves to cover it, but it is consistent with the percentages that we've seen over the years.
Yeah, I think overall, Ms. Carney, I think I looked at that and thought it's just now going to be the cost of doing business as a county because the medical examiner, we're just unfortunately, and I think, do we have to stay with those counties or can we shop like Volusia? No? Is it like a state required that we be bucketed with the other county?
Yes, you'd have to get a legislative change if you wanted to do something there.
Okay. All right.
And I will add, last year I was asked to sit when the existing medical examiner retired. So Sheriff Staley and myself and other representatives, elected officials, convened to select the new medical examiner. So it was eye-opening to me, learned a lot about the process and the legalities, the laws. But we could also request the medical examiner come and do a presentation.
Certainly.
Yeah. So we have, it would be good, I think, to learn a little bit about that arrangement and the contract. All right, thank you. Any other comments?
I would appreciate that since we're paying a cost that we were unaware of and it's changing our situation here. That would be great.
All right. All right, any other consent comments? All right, and seeing none, we'll move to, if anybody has any consent items to pull. I had asked, we do have a modification to the 7C agreement. It came in late, but it was a redlined agreement from SMA, so we added that to that packet. So I'm asking 7C to be pulled. We'll have a presentation, and Ms. Petito can talk a little bit, or Mr. D can talk a little bit about the red line agreement. Is there anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion for consent minus 7C?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of 7C.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Richardson. All right, all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. We'll move to item 7C, consideration of agreement for construction and transfer of a substance abuse treatment facility to SMA Healthcare. Ms. Petito?
Thank you. As the board knows, a couple years ago, we were successful in getting $10 million legislative appropriation for the construction of a men's residential stabilization unit. Early on, we've been working with SMA Healthcare. This was a collaborative project, so in the design of a new facility, they were brought in to look at how this building would need to function for their purposes. So as we continue to meet and talk about it, we need to make sure that what we end up providing is a vital cost center where it makes sense for them to have the space that they need for future growth, but to also be able to maintain the cost of providing those services. So in doing that, the original facility, it was a $10 million facility, was going to be about 10,000 square feet. When we started looking at the design elements of what needed to go into that facility, the facility actually grew from what we originally had anticipated to be a facility that's now, I believe, 23,000 square feet. The additional cost right now, based on the design engineers, it went from a $10 million project to a $14 million project. Working with SMA Healthcare, there is a need for the facility to have the necessary components as it's designed. And SMA Healthcare, in further partnering with the county, was willing to pay for the delta. So the only obligation the county has is for the original $10 million that we had gotten through legislative appropriation. And SMA Healthcare is saying that they will carry anything above that $10 million up to the cost of $14 million. Similar to what was done in the past, the existing facilities that SMA Healthcare has out on Justice Lane, over the years, it was through a partnership with the county, and we ended up deeding over in 1999 a portion of county land. It's listed as public land, but in 99, the county deeded conveyance over to SMA for the beginning of some of their facilities. And then the county did that again in 2007. So you have out there, like the Vince Carter Sanctuary is one. I think Bobby Ginn, his name is on the other one. But they serve different purposes for the women's residential and their warm program. And I know that they were looking at bringing in some other compatible treatment services to that facility. And what they're trying to replicate is the same thing on the other side of the street, which would be for the men's. So there is some economies of scale, and we do want to make sure that it is a vital cost center, that it makes sense to them moving forward in the future as they continue to serve our population. So what we have in front of you is an agreement between the county and SMA for that same structure, that once the facility is done, we will convey the property that it sits on and the building over to SMA. SMA will maintain it, insure it, operate it, for the public's benefit. There is a reverter in there, and it mentions that they are on the hook for anything over the $10 million. So I know we have Andrew Williams. He's the vice president who oversees services in Flagler. He's in the audience if you have any direct questions.
Great, thank you for the update. I'll bring it back to the dais for any questions on the item or on the modifications to the agreement that were. Did you want to talk to those modifications, Mr. Hadid, the red lines?
The red line version simply refines the terms under which we will design, build, pay for. They will give us, any monies, reimburse us for anything over $10 million, and specific provisions regarding the transfer of the property.
The blue typing on here, that's added by SMA? Right, or no?
Yes, I believe, well, I don't want to say it's all their writing, but it started with the fact that we used the wrong name, the wrong entity name. It was a collaborative effort.
So the agenda item asks for not just the agreement, but also for the resolution authorizing the transfer. Do we do them both at the same time?
You can.
Do you need a separate motion?
Not necessary.
If anybody has done reviewing or looking at that, Commissioner Pennington?
No, I read it.
Okay.
It wasn't, I didn't see any issues.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agreement for construction and transfer of a substance abuse treatment facility to SMA Healthcare.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Pennington. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. I will go out to public comment. Let's go to public comment. If there's anybody from the public wishes to address the commission on this item, seeing none, we'll bring it back.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just an inquiry, does the motion include approval of the resolution?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Clerk, good? Okay. Again, motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Pennington. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll move to
Yes, for public comment.
general business. Item 8A, consideration of Land Acquisition Committee Advisory Board appointment. This is a request the board approve either the reappointment of Ms. Bryn Newton or the appointment of Charles Cowart to the Land Acquisition Committee Advisory Board for a 3-year term.
Yes, sir.
I think everybody, we've done this once before, everybody, right? All right, your name is on the sheet, so this is a way to select the applicant of your choice. Turn that back into Mr. Mengel.
Ms. Newton is not present. We do have a Land Acquisition Committee meeting tonight, 3:30 this afternoon. I know Mr. Cowart is present if you wanted to have any comments from him.
Absolutely, Mr. Coward, if you had a few comments and wanted to address the commission. Thank you, Mr. Mengel.
Good morning, Commissioners. Hello, Mr. Adam.
State your name for the record.
I'm Charles Cowart. I never had any intention to take anyone's position. I just set in for the application because I felt like I could add some good perspectives and maybe some youth to the board. But I realize there's 2 other positions, and maybe if other people are want to step down, because I know that's kind of her legacy, Ms. Bryn and whatnot. But I don't intend on taking anyone's position. I just wanted to try to assume responsibility in this. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep.
I do want to say before we call the vote that, yes, Bryn Newton's been on that board since 80s when it was formed, and I believe she's a recent winner in the Sierra Awards. And she's done a lot between Volusia and Ponce Inlet and here. So it is hard because because Mr. Cowart and his family are not only large landowners, but I'll say this for the Cowarts. I think their entire family, their heart is to preserve and protect Flagler County. So I would, however this goes out, encourage either one of them, however it plays out, to continue to apply over the next positions that are open. So irregardless, because they're both wonderful people, and I believe the heart is in the right place for that board.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Well said. Thank you.
Is there any restriction on the amount of people that have to be on that can be on that board or no?
There are 7 members, and so that it's just capped at 7. I think to change it, you'd have to change. I think the board's their makeup. You'd have to add a position or be through board action.
I feel so many people would love to be on that board because it is a really good.
It's a good group.
It is a good group of people, and we had the pleasure of watching them work at the last meeting, and the amount of research the members of that board does is unbelievable. It is impressive. They know this county back and forth, and that's that's why I say to Mr. Cowart. I mean, Bryn Newton is an amazing member of that board, but Mr. Cowart's been there his whole life, and he knows every piece of land too. So he'd be a great addition as well at some point or whenever. So I'm encouraged to hopefully we'll find a space and for anyone. Thank you. Sorry.
Right. Put your papers up top, and Mr. Mengel will come collect. Up Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Still open, public comments still open. I guess I didn't close it. Come on up, Richard.
Hi, Richard Hamilton, a resident of Island Estates, former member of the Land Acquisition Committee for many years. I know both Ms. Newton and Mr. Cowart, and I pity you for having to make this choice between them. What I did notice on the agenda is that there are, I think, 2 other members going to be coming up for renewal within the next year. It's a strange thing on this committee that you have these vacancies coming up 2 or 3 months apart from each other, and I don't know if there's a way that you can actually consolidate them, because I don't know the other 2 members whether they're going to step back. So having been a member of advisory committee, and it's hard to spend that time, and Ms. Newton has spent that time, and she deserves to stay on the committee because of what she sees, her experience and things. But you can serve and assist in an advisory committee. I'll probably attend the 3:30 meeting and make some comments. So sort of my suggestion, and bearing in mind Skeeter's comments that he put his name forward but didn't realize he was going to be in a competition, maybe there's a way you can compromise in some way, or perhaps, since Ms. Newton's not here, to say, well, would you like to, does she want to step down and things? No, obviously she did that. So you're in a very difficult position now. My recommendation would be perhaps you look at these other 2 vacancies coming up. And I don't know what the answer is. It's a shame that you have to take and choose one rather than the other, when both of them would be excellent additions to the committee. But I don't know, perhaps I would suggest again to Mr. Cowart that maybe keep coming, attend the meeting. I believe he's already on the Parks and Recs committee and therefore can contribute very much. So that's the only comment I want to make. It's a difficult choice, but with other vacancies coming up, it would be better with these committees if you could have 3 or 4 vacancies being considered at one time, rather than one this month when you offend someone, one next month when you offend someone, and so on down the road. So just think carefully. I just wanted to make that comment to you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mangle, there's no geographic, I know on some of our boards they have specific parameters, but this one's open.
This one's open, yes, sir.
So anybody can, again, the request would be to keep trying and apply, and if there are 2 more vacancies coming up, then that would be the recommendation, right?
But what I was thinking here, and through your action, you have reappointed Ms. Newton. You need to formalize that, I think. But if you're good with it, I think we just go ahead and continue provide Mr. Cowart's application for the next available, if it's in the next month or 2 or however they are.
I think
If
it's
you're good with
March
that,
and then May.
We'll keep his application active. Even if the incumbents come back and would like to be reappointed, we'll still have him on the docket.
Okay. All right, very good. Was that, what was the number of selections, or who, what was the vote?
Vote was unanimous.
Okay. All right, so I'll need a motion on that.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Ms. Newton to maintain her position on the board of Land Acquisition Committee Advisory Board.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, seconded by Commissioner Carney. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you again, Mr. Cowart.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to just say one thing to Mr. Cowart. I appreciate you applying, and I know you will bring up the youth part of it again, but I suggest that you go to every meeting there that you can, so that they know that your interest is sincere, because that's how sometimes it takes a little practice to get there. I've done this for 20 years behind the scenes, so I appreciate your efforts, and I wish you all success. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to 8B, consideration for memorandum of understanding with the town of Marineland regarding management of the River to Sea Preserve. Ms. Petito.
Thank you. This is something that we had been working on, as you may recall, up at the River to Sea Preserve. We were notified through FCT of some cleanup that needed to be done. So working with the town, what we were looking at doing was creating this memorandum of understanding that will evolve into a revised interlocal with them to outline the responsibilities of each entity. We had shared with the FCT a copy of this MOU. It had met with the town's approval as well, so the town will be adopting this as we work towards a revised interlocal. And really, it's splits apart the responsibility as it pertains to the property, where we provide annual stewardship reports, and then there's a funding component that needs to be done. That responsibility is going to be shifted over to the town. The town is the one who currently vets applications for events and different things. They currently collect some of those fees. It makes sense to have them manage the financial piece. It is a separate report, and then we would provide the updates to the stewardship report. So this really just kind of talks about what that relationship is going to look like. There are some other things that we're working on. I did notify you about structuring our agreement with the GTM NER a little bit differently so that we can be co-located up there at River to Sea Preserve. So we did last week, I believe it was, we met with some folks from DEP to talk about what that looks like. We're not impacting their day-to-day operation. We would be using space that is currently not utilized by NER, and we will be relocating our staff up there probably sometime in like March or April. But really trying to memorialize even the use of the facility by the town. Currently, the town has their public meetings in that building. However, it's not memorialized anywhere. The town also has a requirement for public notice, so this facility would serve in that role as well. So we're kind of just redoing the relationships and making sure that we clean up the interlocals that we have with them. So this is really just the beginning step of cleaning up the relationship that we have with the town as it relates to River to Sea.
Any comments, questions?
Well, this is the first step, but does this meet all of FTC's requirements? This
Yes.
initial MOU?
Yes, they're pleased with the progress that we've made, and actually, I think it was last week, Jorge and I went up there and we met with Alex Reed from DEP Tallahassee, and she had said that her counterpart who oversees the FCT portion at DEP in Tallahassee was quite pleased with the progress, actually was surprised on how quickly we've addressed their concerns. She actually had said, if we wanted to take a step back and, be a little bit slower, we could. That wasn't the interest that we had while we're in there. We want to just, knock these things out. But overall, very pleased with everything we're doing. We've conveyed everything. We've removed the bathhouse recently. We received the demo permits to take out the slabs. Equipment was moved up there last week to start that. So everything is being addressed. I think being co-located up there will help with the reporting and even being more aware of the public outreach and the different tours and different things that go on up there. So I think it'll work out really well.
Chair?
Yes.
Mrs. Petito, Section 4.6, the current management plan shall be revised and periodically updated to outline specific responsibilities, funding, and operational goals. I'm going to assume that that's a working document, and do you have a date for when that's going to happen in 2025?
We're already working on it now in conjunction with the town and FCT, so We actually started working on it last month, and we'll provide a draft document to FCT to make sure that it complies. Right now, it's something that is being worked on through land management. Eric Revelta is actually working on it and getting input from the town and FCT. So at some point, once it's been completely revised and we know it's something that FCT approves, it'll come back to this board for approval, and then it'll go back to the town as well.
Thank you.
All right. I don't have any questions. Is there a motion?
I motion to approve item 8B, consideration for MOU with Town Marine Land.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Pennington, seconded by Commissioner Hanson. At this point, I'll go out to public comment. Anybody from the public wish to address the commission on this item? All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back. Call the question. All those in favor signify with aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. We have no public hearings. And with that, we'll move to County Administrator report.
Thank you. I just have a couple things. Just wanted to give you a quick update in regards to the Bulow RV campground. As you know, back in November of '23, we had 48 sites that were not in compliance. That number dropped down to 26 sites in September of 2024. And then at the beginning of the year, in January of 2025, we had 18 sites that were still out of compliance. As of February 5th, we had 5 sites come in and apply for demolition permits. So once those sites are cleared, we'll be left with 13 that are out of compliance. So I just wanted to, high level, just kind of give you that update on those. We started with 48 and looks like we'll be down to 13. So it seems to be working well. And then I did want to make you aware that staff had been working with Spectrum as well as the state of Florida to be able to air the Florida channel on local government, on our local government channel. So it's Spectrum, channel 492, if anybody's interested. We now have the ability, if you want to watch Session or see what's going on in Tallahassee. It's something that Carlos Hernandez had worked on with the state as well as Spectrum. So just wanted to make you aware and give a shout out to Carlos for handling that. And then we're thrilled to announce that a little bit later today, we're going to launch an updated Flagler County website. It's designed with the public in mind. It's got a fresh, modern look and some improved navigation. And I think that finding information will be a lot easier. We've updated the content, ensuring that the public stays informed. Makes it a little bit easier when you're trying to navigate for other county offices. I think people get confused. Sometimes when they look at Flagler County, they don't realize the constitutionals are part of the county's budget and that, you know, they work in unison with this board. So we've kind of updated some of those links there. So in addition to some of the latest news, resources, and opportunities, I think it makes it a little bit simpler for the community to be able to, you know, get the information that they need and to be connected to what we're doing. So I think Jorge was going to navigate a little bit or show you what it looks like. So.
Pretty.
Bird looks
Like AI, an AI bird.
the bird's going to start talking.
Good morning, Commissioners. So Carlos, Matt, and his team have, and also Karen, have worked on getting us up to date on this new website. We have the different categories here on the top, which are the government-related sections, Board of County Commissioners.
My name is spelled wrong. My name is spelled wrong.
Oh.
It's okay, though. I like it.
We'll fix that.
Yeah.
We have the departments, and each of
gone
these
live yet.
sections have their own section that you could actually continue to gather information.
We have to update some of the pictures.
Yeah, we're still working on some of the pictures, yeah.
I got to get my new picture taken today.
Yeah.
You
We-
can just take mine off.
We have our board and our committees sections, county services, the different county services that are provided. We have the growth and building, which includes the economic development, planning and zoning. We have a section for news and updates. Let's click on that. And things to do here in Flagler County. The main focus on this website would be that you can actually search for items instead of navigating through multiple clicks. That's the intent. We have the sections that are mostly utilized by the residents based on traffic data from the prior website. So those are here on the top tasks. So just wanted to provide this quick overview, but it will go live at noon today. Any questions?
I will still find it under Flagler County Gov, flaglercounty.gov. Is that where it's going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be flaglercounty.gov. This is the temporary URL, but once we go live, it will be flaglercounty.gov. Oh, yeah, these are just pointing back to our social media sites
That's
within
good.
the Flagler County.
Yeah, I was just curious on how that
Yeah,
linked in.
yeah. And you can actually switch this to any of these languages for the resident to speak these languages. It will convert it, for example. Once you click on it, it will convert everything to that language. See? Okay. Thank you.
That ends my report.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Petito?
I'm thrilled to see it. I've sent people to the site and they've gotten lost, as well as myself getting lost. So I'm not going to say I'm a tech expert, but thank you for making it so clear. And I think it's lovely, and it's really going to change the persona of the entire county. Thank you for that.
All right, Mr. Hadid.
No report.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll go back out for our second community outreach. Anybody from the public wish to address the commission for public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back and we'll go through our commission reports. I'll start on my right with Ms. Richardson. Catch you by surprise? Shake it up a little bit today.
Since the lady to my left is a little under the weather, I did my report. It's been a month since our meeting, and I don't normally speak too much at the end, but I wrote. So I wanted to give you an idea of what we do, because some people think it's a part-time job, and it's taken over my whole life, and I'm thrilled to do it, and I'm sharing my life with y'all. Family Life Center, I joined the board of directors with a 3-year commitment. Chief Executive Officer Dr. Trish presented her wrap-up report for 2024. They facilitated 42 presentations throughout the year, including training sessions with Daytona State College, offering 14-plus CEUs credits, assisted 75 family over the holiday season. There will be a workshop on dating violence, protection for parents, and grandparents are welcome as well, presented on Thursday, February 20th. Reservations are required. You can call Marta at RSVP, to RSVP at 386-437-7747, extension 421 for access to the event. New Year planning was discussed and additional projects in 2025. Big thank you to the opportunity to thank all the community supporters. Flagler County Arts and Cultural Council meets under the guise of TDC, known as the FC3, held their January meeting, which outlined many things planned for our community outreach, recognized and awarded by the Tourist Development presentation on January 29th. Many discussions focused on continued develop of our Turtle Trail. We're at Turtle number 22, and more to come. Growing membership opportunities, the new community grant processes, plans in preparing for this year's Fall Festival. I believe it's the 5th one on November the 8th. In the works are unique and interesting events supporting the pillars of their strategic plan. Don't miss out on the 10th at the annual Native American Festival, known as the Powwow, which opens from 10 to 5 both days on February 22nd and 23rd at Princess Place. And for more information, you can go to another website of www.flaglerartsandculture.org, and that is for FC3, Flagler County Arts and Cultural Council. The Advent Hospital celebrated the grand opening of its $30 million Freytag Cancer Center and Health Plaza on Thursday, January 16th. I was there with some other commissioners who were present. The two-story facility spans 30,000 square feet, giving treatment services without leaving our community. It was a wonderful opportunity to see the facility and meet some of the specialists who will be working there, another great step for our local health care. The Palm Coast Citizens Academy held their first open house event geared to new residents, held at the Palm Coast Community Center with a full house of community organizations and constitutional offices presenting what the community had to offer. There was a full house and offered a great engagement opportunity to our neighbors. I participated in that, and it was a wonderful event. I believe they're planning to do it again in the spring. I also attended the ribbon cutting for Vincent's Clubhouse on January 21st at European Village, which offers enrichments to special needs youth, a great addition for our families. January 22nd, I was honored to be a member of the canvassing board with the supervisor of election staff, which went seamlessly, perfect, without any problems. Thank you for Andy giving me the opportunity to serve there. On January 24th, I was thrilled to be at the 2024 Fire County Rescue Awards ceremony. I wish the chief was here at this moment because they did a phenomenal, phenomenal presentation. There were some amazing stories of our local heroes who had done this year saving lives, which included hearing from an amazing survivor from a horrible crash. He walked up to the front of the building and spoke, and it was wonderful. Thank you all to all the professionals who work so hard to care for the people in dire need with your efforts and caring. February 1st, I attended the Fort Chaplain service at the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 8696 and sponsored by the American Legion Post 115 at the VFW. The ceremony honored Fort Chaplains with such dignity and grace. Thank you again for all who have served our country today and always. The event is an annual event, and I hope you get the opportunity to see and hear the stories of what happened with these four chaplains who died together as the boat sank. February 5th, I attended the joint workshop, as well as attending 2 quarterly meetings with public safety departments. And to find out more about emergency management, as well, Emergency Operations Management Center, go to flaglercounty.gov/emergency. I'm looking forward to the rest of the month, and the spring season's weather is on its way. And go Eagles. Thank you.
Yeah, the last whipping Mahone got was from Tom Brady. Thank you, Chair. I have been holding monthly meetings with Mr. Dale Martin, who's the city manager in Flagler Beach. I attended both of the City of Flagler Beach general meetings, and I'm happy to report that the pier construction bid has been awarded. That program also went from 10 million to 14 million over the time it took to get that going. They have a completion date that is estimated for January of 2026. I would also like to announce that City of Flagler Beach is in their centennial year. And on our first meeting in April, we will be doing a proclamation to honor the City of Flagler Beach centennial. I attended the Department of Juvenile Justice Council meeting. I attended the Planning and Development Board meeting. I attended Early Learning Coalition. That was, that's going to be a good committee, I think, for me to be on. The Daytona Chamber, so this is Volusia and Flagler. So Daytona Chamber was there, and they announced a new initiative that they have called Readers and Leaders. This is a comprehensive plan that they put together to make the community, mostly the business community, aware of the lagging literacy levels and third grade reading scores throughout our area. The Early Learning Coalition will be hosting their 12th annual Duck Festival. They're looking for sponsors. The event will be held on April 5th at the Tomoka Outpost. Sounds like a lot of fun, so put that day down on your calendar. I attended the AHAC meeting, Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. The committee has got a little bit different direction this year, and we reviewed 2025, our key dates and our key events from AHAC. I also attended the annual tourism meeting. I'd like to thank Miss Amy and her staff. The speaker was very timely and very appropriate, I think, for Flagler County. I'd like to congratulate all the award winners, and it was just a great job put on by everyone. I did also attend the Ford Chaplain event, and I was honored to be there to present the proclamation. This is a annual event, and I look forward to that on a regular. I also attended the Sheriff's Gala on February the 1st. That event was very well done, and I had a blast getting all dressed up, and the music was great, the food was great. So I'm glad we were able to support the sheriff and his employee assistance foundation. Next two items are I wanted to talk as well as just announce, but don't know that I'm going to need some board support on this. I met with a couple of citizens regarding animal control. I think that we all know that this group has been before us a couple of times since November. And I would like to work with my fellow commissioners to do a feasibility study on a county-operated rescue facility. Because this issue does not appear anywhere in our strategic plan or in our capital plan, it looks like the process would need to be started sometime this year during the budget. Do I have anyone that is meeting, contemplating, reviewed any information from this group, or how do I get consensus on something like this?
Well, I am meeting later this week with the group. Have toured Putnam County's recent new facilities. I think I think we all should individually probably do our research. It's a complicated process. We have between us, the city of Palm Coast, and I believe the sheriff's office. It is not one of the county's constitutionally required activities to be the host or the operator of the shelter, but I think we need to look at all options. We can be.
We can be.
Mm-hmm. absolutely. Since we have the nonprofit and there's significant monetary investments that are needed, but I'll leave it open to the others. I'm not there yet, so I'm gonna wait and still continue to gather information. But
Well, my
there's any other
suggestion
thoughts?
is not going to be that we would replace any organization, and it would basically be focused on the animals, the control part of it, not so much the shelter itself as it would be the bringing the animal control under tighter
Okay, misunderstood.
supervision.
Yep, that's a different subject, and I'm open to that.
I'm open to starting with animal control because I think that will lead to what we do from there. I don't disagree with I think there's many questions to answer when it talks about where to house from that point, because I don't disagree about future shelter, but who would operate, what type, drop off versus, stray pickup, stuff like that. But I am open. I don't feel like we have enough control or insight into the animal control portion of it. So, and I do think we have to get there with our agreements on that. So I think that's a good maybe jumping off point to have some sort of discussion within a workshop about at some point. That's my animal control would be the start. As we keep building out and doing our research, because I'm doing research in Highlands County on their animal, because it's within a budget that I can see, and if anybody needs, I could share it through the administration. I have the Humane Society's pickup, and I have their numbers by county, by unincorporated versus city and type of animal, and I think it helps to understand what we pay per animal, and it's an important. I ran those figures about a couple weeks ago, so that's the other discussion. Is it just the unincorporated that we work on, or is it the cities, and are they on their own or interlocal? So there's so much to talk about. I feel like it deserves at some point a discussion about at least starting off at an animal control piece for the unincorporated.
Okay. Anybody else?
I also have been speaking with several different people, some with authority and some without authority, about animal control and pickup and so forth. And I think that we need to devise a community effort into making sure that everything is done properly, humanely, and with the proper fail-safe safety issues for the animals, both domestic as well as wildlife. I'm seeing all kinds of deceased animals on the road, 3 in one day. I don't remember that ever happening here. And I'm very concerned about the out-of-control situation with stray animals. I just can't believe there's that many, and it's worse than I think any of us realize. And if we don't take a stand, we'll suffer the consequences of it later. So I'm all for a workshop, maybe a joint workshop with all the cities. We've done a joint workshop about what we're doing. I think we all need to get together as a Flagler County community and figure this out.
Well, Palm Coast has their own. The staff reports to them. I mean, it's part of the structure of Palm Coast. We don't have that in Flagler County.
That was code enforcement.
It
is. I was on that board.
Right, but I'm not talking or speaking for them or how they run their animal control. I think we have an issue in Flagler County with animal control. So I'm with Leanne here that I think that we need to at least investigate. If we don't have anything that discusses it, how do we move it off to staff? We have to direct staff. So if we don't agree amongst ourselves that something needs to be looked at, then we can't pass it on. So I'm just trying to start the dialogue. If it looks like a lot of us are working on something or have done some research at this point. So I just don't want it to go on for 7 or 8 or 9 months and have no feedback. But let's just talk about it when we need to, and we'll look to bring it up for workshopping in the future. The other item is I did attend the joint government meeting on Wednesday, it was the 5th. I did have a question of Commissioner Hanson. You had mentioned to the group that the county had this, quote, covered with or without them. Do you remember what you were referring to under the funding for the beach nourishment?
Well, we have a plan to operate and just take it over and do it all ourselves. Or we have a plan to include the cities.
Yeah, the unincorporated, be specific. For the unincorporated, there is.
I don't think that came along. I don't think that came across really well or strong. I agree that we are focusing on the unincorporated, and we have a tentative plan that's not been voted on yet. But I left there thinking, and if I was one of the participants from Palm Coast or Bunnell or Flagler Beach, I left there thinking that we got this, so then why would we even bring it forward to them? So my question is, do we need to clarify what our ask is, and possibly present at least one funding plan? They were all left there to go back to their respective communities and talk amongst themselves, but there was not a clear path, in my opinion. If we do have a funding path, spell it out. Tell them what we need. I don't think the ask was there strong enough that every municipality left there, they can shoot us down at any time. It was just too open-ended, I think. So I don't know how to clarify it at this point. The meeting's already taken place. You did a great job, Andy, getting everybody to understand the concept. I just think we left them hanging, and I was hoping that we could kind of bring this together before the March revisit so that they're saying the right things to their constituents. But leaving here thinking that we got this covered, that was not what I thought was going to happen.
Well, we can chime in. There's a follow-up plan in process, so I'll let Ms. Petito fill in the gaps, because you're right, there was a bit of miscommunication or just vagueness in the ask, and we didn't know where, right? We haven't had a public meeting or a public discussion, and what we've heard in the past was the county making decisions for other municipalities without their input. So lesson learned was just have a conversation and let them know where we are, right? So phase 1 was, we have worked for the past 6 months to be able to put together a plan for the unincorporated part of the county, because, back in August, we heard when we first did revealed the consultants survey and everything else, we got tons of pushback.
Right.
So we had to go back and regroup and say, how can we approach this from the unincorporated? And Ms. Petito spent months, public meetings, putting together funding analyses and changing it depending on public input from meeting to meeting, to where there's a plan to be able, for the unincorporated part, to be able to do it if we had to. That's not the preferred method. My point was, this should be a community effort. And we just needed to find out.
Well, beach renourishment is never going to work in pieces and drabs and pieces and cutouts and easements that aren't going to happen. We as a county have to come together on a plan. So if the plan is no funding equals no project, I am perfectly fine with that. It's not ideal for our county. It's incumbent upon us, because we are the sponsor in Flagler Beach, we are going to be sponsoring our own sections, that we bring or try to bring everybody on board. So I would love to hear what the follow-up plan is.
Well, the plans that I mentioned are in the hands of the various staffs, the Palm Coast and Flagler Beach. They have the plans. Ms. Petito's been working with them, so.
So we've shared some information with staff, but I don't know if they have everything, maybe what Commissioner Hansen's referring to, but we've had some kind of high-level discussions with staff. I don't disagree with any of the comments that were said as a result of that meeting. When we are looking at the beach, I mean, the first thing is, what do the cities or towns want? Because we don't have ownership within their jurisdiction. We only have the authority in the unincorporated, which is why when we started getting some pushback or comments made that it didn't appear that maybe we were all on the same page, we move forward with looking at what can we do in the unincorporated Flagler County, because it's really the only area where we have jurisdiction. So if we were to come up with a plan for the entire coastline, we would have to have agreements with all of the municipalities. So we would have to have something with Marineland, Beverly Beach, and Flagler Beach, where they would convey that responsibility over to us, because right now, legally, we can't just go in there and do the work for them, whether they want it or they don't want it. So when we looked at the beach projects that we have right now, we did enter into interlocal agreements with Flagler Beach and Beverly Beach for not just the Army Corps project, but future projects that gave us the authority to go in there on their behalf. A little disheartening for me, I think, was some of the comments made where they don't seem to want to support the ongoing maintenance and renourishment, which is outlined in the interlocal agreements, where they agree to take on that responsibility for future. I didn't walk away from that meeting getting a good sense of that. Primarily, I think it was Mayor Emmett's comments that they didn't think they had a problem. But we have an interlocal that says that they will maintain the beach, but it doesn't sound like they're willing. So when we look to what are those next steps, I think it would be important for us as staff, but I would need direction from the board, to go to each one of the cities and towns, whatever public meeting they have between now and the group reconvenes, so that we can present something specific to each one of those entities, because the story and the ask is different for each one of them. I do think it is a county-wide challenge and issue. I don't think that it is just the people who live on the Barrier Islands problem. I think when you look at the potential loss of revenue, whether it's in tax base for commercial or residential units on the Barrier Island, it would be detrimental if we had a loss, not only to Flagler County, to the school board, to any municipality, whether it be Beverly Beach, Flagler Beach, or Marineland. Then when you also look at the value of tourism and what tourism brings to Flagler County as a community, and you look at the economic impact, when you're looking at that, I think it's upwards of $800 million annually. And you look at the percentage of jobs that are supported by tourism, I think it's like 27% of the workforce is currently employed in some tourism-related market. That if you lost your beach, I'd say at least 50% of the people that come here because of the beach, whether it be that they moved here or people are coming to visit, they end up at the beach. That would be significant if you lost the beach. So from an economic standpoint, not just the property tax, but also the tourism impact, that's the county-wide thing that would hurt everybody. It would negatively impact the quality of life for anybody in Flagler County, regardless of where you live. And yes, there is maybe a little bit more benefit to the folks that live on the barrier island. I think moving forward, when we were looking at a plan, it did have the folks on the barrier island paying a nominal fee as part of a benefit unit. I think our new plan, if everybody can come together, has that amount being significantly less than anything we've looked at previously. And I don't know to what level of detail this board would like me to share with them as far as, potential options and what that looks like. I mean, we could certainly bring a spreadsheet and kind of play with the numbers live while we're there in presentation if, there was an appetite for that from the board. But I do think it's not just the history of, what got us here, but looking at the environmental impacts of not doing something. If you look at storm surge alone right now, and that's going to happen because we're close proximity to the inlet, the Matanzas Inlet. But if you had that storm surge compounded with a dune breach or spillover where it's inundating the uplands on the barrier island, the impacts of storm surge along the intercoastal is going to considerably increase. And we already know now that if you had a Cat 1 to a Cat 3 direct impact, we're going to have areas of low-lying and waterfront properties that are going to be inundated with water. And there's a large portion of them in Palm Coast, in the C section, the F section, sections of Grand Haven. And Grand Haven's pretty high, but there are sections when you look at the modeling. When you look at Forest Park, when you look at, can't think of the other name of the community across the street from Forest Park as you go down Colbert, but the Woodlands, it's low-lying right now. It would be impacted. So there is, and Sanctuary is another community, I think, on the intercoastal in Palm Coast. The value of those properties in Palm Coast, it would be detrimental to them. And I don't understand maybe why they don't see that value or that benefit. And just, I think that in general, I think that people don't have an understanding of what the county provides. I think that, maybe the basic civics is lost on people, but when you look at what the county statutorily required to provide to the residents, it would mean for us, we were looking at a $8 million impact if we had a 25% loss in taxable value. Well, $8 million is a lot when you think about what we cover and what we fund. So it would drastically change people's quality of life. And I think that somehow we need to provide an overview to each one tailored to what it means to them. And then really show them what that plan looks like, that financial plan. If it's something that the board would like, we've already kind of, going into this meeting, wanted to see what our board had thought, but we are looking at dates. So I do have dates already for upcoming meetings in Bunnell, Palm Coast, and Flagler Beach. I would only have to work on Marine Land and the town of Beverly Beach if this is something that the board would like us to do.
And it's an educational thing. It isn't something, we get people move here every day, hundreds of people that move here. They don't know what they don't know. I didn't know what a sea turtle was till I moved to Flagler Beach. It's a process. So it is incumbent on us to educate. You've got a tourism department that is phenomenal. We did the whole, Dodge the Dunes. We've gotten awards for the education that we do on our coastal. If there's anybody in Palm Coast that can tell you that they do not live in a coastal community, then they basically don't know where they live, because it is as coastal as you're going to get. Whether there's a piece of morsel sand that they own or not, Palm Coast residents really need to understand the impact of what our future could look like if we have a do-nothing approach. And if we don't have the funding, we do nothing. So I think that, I know that Flagler Beach will be more than appreciative of an education or running some scenarios past you, or trying to understand the concept of saving for the next 7 years or 6 years so that we can do something when something happens. It's a maintenance agreement, basically, is what it is. We're just saving up now for the ultimate re-nourishment that is going to happen, period, end of discussion. We just don't have the date or the time. So I'm in favor of any educational thing that we can do to help the other municipalities so that we don't lose any momentum. And I know that our line is tight because we're budgeting now and we want some answers for our budget process. But I think we need to stay a little flexible and spend a little more time on getting the other municipalities on board. It will be vital to this project over the long haul.
I agree, and I think one of the components that we were building into this was even moving forward. So if you had a named storm and FEMA came and covered the, I think, 75%, and then we split 25 with the state. So we would have to come up with, as a local, 12.5% of that cost. What we were building into this model, or what is built in, is to be able to provide that local match. So now you wouldn't have Flagler Beach worried about where are they going to come up with the money for their local match. It would all be built into this model if everybody was on the same page.
Okay.
So I think it's definitely something we can do as staff if that's the direction from the board. So,
Can I make a brief suggestion about that education part? Years ago, when the hurricanes would hit, I'm assuming that Mr. Lord would be familiar with that. They did a Your Safe Home program to make your home solid, and it showed you the timeline video of disaster through the storms of a 1, 2, 3, Cat 4, and of course surviving Andrew, which I've grown up through all these storms. The devastation is not prevalent in your eyes until you see it. So when you're making presentations to these communities, I think it's really important to have something to that effect where they can actually see. I think Mr. Lord has the wind tunnel available. I don't know if it's completely finished yet. He was working on that. That is amazing to see what that storm surge does. And that would go into a wind tunnel, the same thing. We actually have the project. I'd love to see some type of video if IT could present it so that you would bring it with you, because people don't really understand what it looks like when you're devastated unless you've been devastated. And I think that's one of the problems. A lot of these people come from states that don't have water or places that have snow and it melts and it goes away. But we have a whole different story. And I think we're not able to tell the story just verbally. I think it has to be visual, because then they can see themselves in that house as it's getting destroyed and why people get perished. Asheville is the greatest example of what they didn't know could happen. And we definitely want to make sure it doesn't happen to Flagler County.
All right, so let's bring it back to the ask. Ms. Petito has been compiling the dates to where we will be able to get in front of, in a workshop setting with Bunnell. Palm Coast, Flagler Beach is still working on Beverly Beach and Marineland, but making sure that we can customize the individual ask and show through our analysis the maintenance and the renourishment costs, and take that information back so that they understand how it impacts each of their areas, so that we can continue to formulate a plan. But the goal being countywide participation. Okay, we're all good.
And then this next item is going to have to be discussed as well, but I'll go there. We also spoke about annexation, and I believe that that discussion was left with a couple of hashtags next to it as opposed to a period. Attorney Moylan outlined the annexation requirements. He did admit at that meeting that the county's not done a very good job, requesting the information that's needed, feasibility study, some other types of studies that the county has the right to review. I don't know, and I would hope that the board would help guide our legal team towards directing or helping the other municipalities. It's my understanding that right now there's at least one annexation into Bunnell, Flagler Beach, and Palm Coast that is county property. We talked about roads. We talked about impact fees and how to assess impact fees. We have not received, other than a letter from Palm Coast that I know of, in a very highly traffic area near BJ's, that the county has a trip cap on. And if Palm Coast does annex, what happens to that trip cap? What happens to the sections of the roadway in the county? They all knew. I mean, I think from the consensus in the group, they all knew or feel that the road and the maintenance of the roads, it's all coming back on the county. I think we need to step up and explain what we will accept and what we won't accept. The county can get involved in annexation. So I don't know what it looks like. Does it look like an ordinance? I don't know. Does it look like an ordinance? Does it look like a resolution on how to annex and include the county in annexation? But I think it's time that the county evaluate where we stand with annexation. There's some big changes, and you read about Palm Coast in the news every day, and here we get another letter for annexation. It just doesn't make sense to me that we can't get involved and maybe help them. Attorney Moylan also said, we're here to help, we're here to help. I mean, he's giving them an outreach. I just don't know that we need to give the attorney some backbone on what we want. So I would like to see us give some direction to legal as to what annexation looks like in Flagler County.
All right, so let's discuss that a little bit. And you're right. I think staff, though, has been very proactive especially in bringing forward that things like the cap. So even when Palm Coast annexed, or the property owner went to annex Old Kings Village on Old Kings Road, staff was very proactive in making sure that our interests were forefront and preserved. We had a pedestrian access that was wide and other drainage issues and tree protection that county staff helped push that forward. I think one is minimum statute requirements have to be met. I mean, Sean made that point that, there are statutory requirements on annexation, and if we just at least hold them to providing the statutory required documents, that would be one thing. But anything else on this side?
The current issue on annexation is the impact fees on the roads.
Right.
We have to get that settled. I mean, we can't not be able to recoup those impact fees because we have to do the maintenance on the road.
Those were interlocals that are required.
Right.
They are, and if I could just touch on that, the impact fees would be for the expansion, but it also impacts us when you look at gas tax. The gas tax is what we apply to ongoing maintenance. So we're up for renewal, and it'll be coming in front of the board, I sometime in the next few months. But the way we break that out is through an interlocal that had existed with Palm Coast. The other cities get it as well, but it's broken out on a formula. And so, like, for instance, it's based on lane miles and population. So as Palm Coast population continues to increase, naturally their percentage of gas tax will increase. However, there's a snag because we're left with roads that are in the city limits of Palm Coast, and I'll pull out Colbert, or we can say Roberts Road, where you look at largely the property, it's all within the city of Palm Coast, and we're left to maintain it. So we can claim the miles, but we don't get to claim the population that lives across it. So I think that there should be like a formula of a reduction. If they don't have ownership or have to maintain the road and we're left to do it, well, then it should go against their population, because we're going to be always at a disadvantage where their population's growing. We're left maintaining roads in their jurisdiction, because when you look at the change high level right now, our gas tax collection would go down from 23% down to 20% right now if we apply the existing formula. Well, we already don't get enough in the way of gas tax, and we have roads that we're maintaining in city limits. So I think it's even more of a push to get the cities to take the roads that are within their jurisdiction, not just from impact fees for, future growth and expansion, but even the ongoing maintenance. We're at a deficit. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because it is something that staff's currently looking at, and we're going to have to work it out with the cities.
I thought last meeting, it was late at night, but we left it as, we're going to come back, we're going to workshop the annexation specifically. What does what are the county's rights within annexations in general, and when they create enclaves, and then we were going to workshop what do we want to insert in those rights, and how do we do that? Do we do that through resolution? I thought that's coming for, isn't that where we kind of left Andy, that we would workshop it to the high level of what annexation looks like, the impacts to the county, how can we mitigate through it? And then we go specifically into the current annexation issues that we're facing with the enclave.
I remember the immediate urgency was with the residents that
Right.
spoke to us about not wanting to be forced to annex. So
Right.
I think the point that the city made of Flagler Beach was that they're looking at, with the developer, phasing it so that doesn't become the immediate need. But I do still agree
Yeah.
that
My
those
problem
are
is, like,
topics to be
my
workshopped.
problem is it goes beyond Veranda Bay, which is, tell me as a county commissioner that I can ignore the state statutes about enclaves, urbanization, and all that. Tell me that that's within my right to do. I know it gets done everywhere. I'm not denying that. But why do I have to do it here in this situation? And how do I protect Flagler County unincorporated as a whole from this now and in the future? And how do we set up future boards so that they follow a process that is right and protective of unincorporated Flagler County and, municipalities that have annexation? Now we protect the taxpayers from having to pay for roads that don't belong within, the unincorporated county person, So I think that was where we were heading for, like, we need to workshop and talk about annexation, because it's frequent. And what are our rights as a county? And show me legal where it's okay for me to blow over the state statutes on annexation with enclaves. Or tell me how to handle it, what's the right thing to do? Is it an interlocal? Is it this, so that if we are in agreement that it should occur or whatever, sure, fine, but this is what we need to do to get there. So I think that's where we were heading.
I would add that the clarification of what Mr. Moylan expressed was the statutory requirements that we haven't always asked for. So
Right.
I would like to have a better explanation of what those are. So, when we get that letter from the municipality of a notice of annexation, we can send a form letter back, says, we'll consider this when you've done X, Y, and Z.
We need to build it up for future.
Our
boards.
office is working on a protocol to deal with annexations, integrating the statutory requirements and how the interaction would occur between our staff and municipal staff, and how do we address these issues. There are a number of tools we can use. One of the things that we pointed out, well, we didn't point out to you, but the drafting of the new comprehensive plan that you're going to be getting doesn't address this issue in any substantial way. And we've come to the point where the pendulum has swung so far on the volume and the impact of municipal annexations that pendulum has got to swing back. So now we've got to tamp down, and one thing that can guide us on that is our comprehensive plan. And so that's not addressed at all. There are alternative approaches, joint planning agreements. You know, we have some models where we have done that to address annexation issues, but they're not comprehensive. They don't cover all annexation processes. And frankly, from I guess the first time that we started getting a significant number of annexation petitions was 2000, 2001, 2002, and the administrations, particularly during that era, the administrations did not want to challenge those petitions or look at them with great scrutiny, and subsequently boards did not appear to be interested in challenging it. And I think that might have been the comity that the county commission shows toward municipalities. But it's gone so far and has really, frankly, undermined the achievement of our long-term objectives that we've got to get control of it. There's no choice. I mean, unless you want to sacrifice those kind of goals.
So workshop, is that what we're headed towards?
Yeah, definitely a workshop and a date on a workshop. We have 2 workshops in March. It just seemed to be open. So, Mr. Hadid, when can we workshop this from your office?
We can schedule it in March. I have a note here to go
Thank
back
you.
And what we want to do is we want to circulate our protocol to our staff internally to make sure that they're okay with it, because this doesn't involve just one department. It impacts a number of departments.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
I'll make mine short and sweet.
Go right ahead.
So everybody can get lunch break. Number one is if you're a commissioner or anyone in staff that is getting complaints about anyone who is not covered by the Spectrum broadband, because I have one home that's been out there for ages that Spectrum reps have told me will be covered, we're going to work on it, we're going to get it, was included in a grant. I finally had a moment this weekend where I just emailed the CEO of Spectrum, and they emailed back. So I have a ear up there, and so if you know of somebody who doesn't have internet in this county still, please send me the address or get it to Heidi, who can send it to me, so that I can iron out and figure out where everybody's at with internet. And then the second thing was, I just wanted to point out, because Heidi mentioned tourism being an economic driver. So it reminded me that the Super Bowl commercial this weekend had the potato girl from Elkton, and while she was from another county, it might as well just been Flagler County. And I shared it, and it got all the farm families out there sharing their potato pictures, the Johnstons and Durances and everything. And so they were really proud, and ag is number 2 here for economy, so really proud of that whole commercial. We need our own next year. We're going to let everybody know we grow potatoes for Frito-Lay. So that was it.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Hanson.
Not much, just all the routine stuff we do. I did have a kind of a rare opportunity to judge the statewide debate contest up at Jacksonville State last weekend. That was fascinating, and it was an all-day thing, but there's some really bright kids out there, some really bright kids, and it was hard. It was very hard to pick winners. And they threw them at us 10 at a time. And we had to pick the top 3 out of each group. And we did that all day long. And then they eventually picked, I didn't get to pick the winner. They got it down to where they only needed about 8 of the judges. So I got to go home a little early. But it was really fun, very hard. It was hard to do, but it was good. And so that's my report.
All right, thank you. All right. I know we need to at least have a big enough break before now on the next meeting. So I will got some bookkeeping things to take care of, if you'll bear with me. We agreed on a letter of support for the Black History Museum. I have 2 others. One is at the request of our friends of the Tomoka State Park and Ranger Mark Adams, to letter of support for them to pursue a grant to the SciArc Heritage Amplified Grant funding. It is really a educational grant that is kind of a 3D virtual educational thing that they would put together. So if there's any objections to me doing a letter of support for them to pursue that grant. Okay, seeing none. The other is I'm writing on behalf of the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners in support of the University of Central Florida to secure state funding for the John Scott Daly Florida Institute of Government to serve our region of Central Florida and the greater Orlando area through faculty for local state government. It's a policy and administration process. I don't know too much more of that, but it's been done in the past. Okay, done. The Northeast Florida Regional Council I spent last year getting acclimated. This year have expanded leadership within the regional council. They do a lot of important things for the region and for us specifically. They just completed the compound flooding study for the county that shows, it will be released shortly, but it shows the effects of rainfalls, storm events, in addition to king tides and others. And those types of independent studies are critical when we go out for, say, resiliency funding in order to, if we've got a project that needs to build up storm resiliency, the check boxes typically, is there a third-party study that supports your, and so this is where this is really important. It becomes that third-party independent study that that the state legislature or the grants are looking for. Regional council, we have an open seat, so we made a change to where we went from City of Bunnell to Palm Coast due to the the size of Palm Coast, and Mr. Gambaro is there, right? It's our seat, but we give them we give them the seat. I occupy the other one. We still have an opening. It can be filled by anybody. It can be filled by a commissioner. It can be filled by another municipal government, Bunnell, or a private citizen that has experience in planning and different things. So I need to know if anybody here wants to do the other regional council seat, and if not, where do we want to place that? Because they become a voting member for the county. They have to be in line with us.
What is the schedule for that?
It's
Quarterly,
monthly. The meetings are virtual or in person in Jacksonville. And so really just the monthly
It can be
meetings.
virtual?
It can be virtual.
I would like to
Okay.
attend.
All right, we got that cleared. Very good.
How did it become open?
It was occupied by Commissioner Sullivan. So when he was no longer,
When we did appointments?
we did, but with nobody, there wasn't. I think the discussion was.
We look at the mayor.
Yeah, we didn't know if Palm Coast was going to accept, but they accepted, and that left the one opening. So, but thank you for that. Best foot forward. This is where'd my screen go? They've asked for a proclamation, and we're putting one together. But this is from Bike Walk Central Florida, It's their Best Foot Forward program, and it's being paid for through the Volusia Flagler TPO. And they're doing an analysis of crosswalks to study the effectiveness of crosswalks within the city. So they have a track record of success for 3 years now, where starting in Lake County, they've analyzed crosswalks, and then based on their study and analysis, they put into place educational or engineering components to make them more effective. And they swing the balance like from maybe a 20% effective rate up to 70 or 80% effective. So they've they did a presentation through the community traffic safety team, and then they did a call for intersections, and these are the ones that have been selected. There's 8 of them within the county: Bird of Paradise and Matanzas Woods Parkway, Belterre Parkway, and State Road 100. Palm Coast has Town Center Boulevard and Royal Palms Parkway. That's where the Lehigh Trail crosses. Bulldog Drive and State Road 100, where the car flipped the other day. North Ocean Shore Boulevard at Gamble Rogers. There's a crosswalk from park to park down there, and I think there was a death not too long ago. Ocean Shore Boulevard and 3rd Street South. I think that's at the pier. And Bunnell, State Road 100, and South Chapel Street, which is the school crossing on 100, and then Main Street and Moody Boulevard. So they're going to present next meeting and also ask for the proclamation. So as long as you think that it's a worthy cause, we'll go ahead and continue and support their work here. And again, it's paid through the Volusia Flagler TPO. And also on the Northeast Florida Regional Council, they spent the past year doing a regional analysis of trails and ecotourism, and that is complete. And their next look is at trash as a regional issue. So it's a really important topic, and where's all the trash going? Right, disposal of trash. Just wanted to again acknowledge BP and Timmy Allen on their longevity with the county. It's remarkable that and really good people and advocates for the county, and the work ethic that they put into their jobs. It sets a good example for the rest of the employees. And really the last thing is just, if it's not on your calendar, there's the Flagler County Ed Foundation's Mardi Gras is coming up, and that's March 4th. I just throw that out there because it's a lot of fun. So if you want to have a... Yes, sir.
Did you? I'm sorry. Did you mention the Boots and Bling this weekend?
I did not, but that is coming up as well.
That's Saturday night.
Yes.
It's Saturday night, yeah.
Very good. Thank you for that. That's a great event. I'll be there? I'll be there. All right. I think that's all that I was asked to do. If not, I'll follow up at the workshop. Did you have anything else? Are you clear with our direction?
I am, thank you.
Absolutely, good. All right, take a motion to adjourn. We'll be back at 1 p.m. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.